Now we are close to the month of Ramadan. It is around the corner. It is the first of it being either the Sunday or Monday. Now, my dear respected brothers, as Muslims, it is a month that all of us look forward to. It is a month of blessings, a month of forgiveness, a month in which the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends. As it is stated in a hadith that قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after a few words, وَهُوَ شَهْرٌ أَوَّلُهُ رَحْمَةٌ وَأَوْسَطُهُ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَآخِرُهُ عِتْقٌ مِّنَ النَّارِ. It is a month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah descends, mercy descends. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy descends, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness is also with the people. And my dear respected brothers, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said that you make dua that you are freed from the fire of Jahannam. آخِرُهُ عِتْقٌ مِّنَ النَّارِ. That eventually, if you give the haqq of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will free you from the fire of Jahannam. And my dear respected brothers, it is also a month of barakah, a month of blessings. In the hadith, it is narrated that every action of the son of Adam is multiplied. A good deed is multiplied by 10 times إِلَى 700 ضِعْفٍ, until 700 times. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Sawm of Ramadan and the Sawm that is done for me, this is for me, فَإِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا أَجْزِي بِهِ, that I will give the reward for this Sawm that this person is making, this fasting that this person is making. Now imagine that you are a person, let's say in the medieval times you fought for a king or you murdered one of the enemies of the king. Now this king, he personally calls you and he says, I will reward you. Usually when you do something good, the police will reward you or some government official will reward you. But now you're getting summoned to meet the king himself or the prime minister in today's time. And he says, I will reward you myself. Now you can only imagine what the reward of this is going to be. Now imagine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the king of the worlds, the most generous being on this, the most generous being ever known to man, the most generous, the king of all kings, is saying that فَإِنَّهُ لِي, that this fasting that you're doing is solely for me and I will reward you. So imagine, my brothers, the month of Ramadan is coming, and it is a month in which the good deeds are multiplied. So imagine it is a month to work on ourselves. What does this tell us? That it's a month to work on ourselves and to increase in the normal amal that we do. Especially the Quran, my dear respected brothers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانِ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. What does this tell us? That the month of Ramadan is also the month of the Quran. And as we all know, it is a month in which we stand in salah at night after the Isha prayer in Taraweeh, and the Quran is recited. So my dear respected brothers, imagine you're reading salah, imagine is multiplied. It is said in another hadith that a person who does a good deed, it is as if he has done an obligatory act of Islam. And a person who does an obligatory act of Islam is as if he's done it over 70 times. So imagine you pray, let's say for example you read the Hajj prayer, and you read it, and it is as if you're reading a Fajr prayer. A nafil cannot compare to a fard. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if you make amal on a nafil thing, something which is not prescribed, it is as if you are doing something which is prescribed, whose reward is 100 times greater than something which is not prescribed. Now, and once you're doing something which is prescribed, it's as if you're doing it 70 times at one time, at once. So now, a month of Ramadan and a month of blessings like this, a person should realize that we should work on ourselves. The actions that we could not do outside of Ramadan, we should take out time for it to do inside of Ramadan. We should work on ourselves, increase our Quran, increase our amals, increase our good deeds, because it is also the month of forgiveness. أَوْسَطُهُ مَغْفِرَةٌ. And in the hadith it says, مَنْ صَامَ رَمَضَانِ إِيمَانًا وَاحْتِسَابًا غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. That whosoever fasts in the month of Ramadan, he will be forgiven while he holds onto the iman of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is hopeful for the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of his sins, ما تقدم من ذنبه, he will be forgiven. غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. Whatever in the future he has done, he will be forgiven for that as well. So now it is a month of Ramadan, and in a hadith it is also stated that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said in the hadith that where he had ascended the mimbar, and he said Ameen 3 times. So the first time he stepped, on the first step he said Ameen. On the second step he said Ameen. On the third step he said Ameen. And when he descended the mimbar, the Sahaba asked, "O Rasulullah, we have seen something strange from you. So can you explain?" So in one of the times he said that when I ascended the step and I said Ameen, Jibreel alayhi salam, he was making dua that curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon that person who has attained the month of Ramadan, but he has not sought forgiveness and he has not attained the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear respected brothers, Ramadan is around the corner. It's a time to work on ourselves, time to ask forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is looking for excuses to forgive us, to increase in our actions, to increase in our rewards, to increase in our rewards. And my dear respected brothers, Ramadan is also the month of Quran, and we should have a goal, we should set little goals for ourselves. That I used to read this much Quran outside of Ramadan, so I should increase. Let's say I used to read 1 page outside of Ramadan, we should increase it little by little. Let's say we increase it to 2 pages in Ramadan. And we should try to make at least 1 khatam of the Quran in the month of Ramadan, inshallah. May Allah give us the tawfiq to attain, first of all, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan, that we attain